After nearly 40 years, the icon Sting called it a career at AEW Revolution 2024. The match was a spectacle that included nods to some of his looks over the years. Here's a full rundown of how the man called Sting presented himself.
I was very, very shy.
Were you?
Yeah, and reserved. I mean, too shy.
And how'd you get out of that?
Well, you know what? I put this mask on and it helps a lot.
It just helped.
After getting into professional wrestling in the mid-'80s as a member of the tag team, the Blade Runners, Sting found success quickly in the NWA's Jim Crockett promotion starting in 1987. Sting's look early in his career was quite different from what it became. His hair was spiked and bleached blonde, and he wore bright colors to the ring. It's a look that became known as Surfer Sting.
Just don't want to be boring in the ring. I don't want to be boring out of the ring. So the face paint, the jackets, the tights, everything else.
Surfer Sting's highlight match was the main event at the first Clash of the Champions 1 in 1988. He faced Ric Flair for the NWA World Championship, battling to a time limit draw. After that match, he wound up teaming with Flair several times, even eventually becoming a member of the equally iconic Four Horsemen. Flair, of course, turned on Sting every time. Sting also took his bright look overseas, wrestling a brief tour in All Japan Pro Wrestling. Sting kept his surfer look after JCP became WCW for a while. Starting in 1996, Sting got a little darker. He stopped bleaching his hair and started to grow it long in his natural dark color. Sting noticed that crowds began to turn on the colorful and blonde Hulk Hogan, and he knew he needed a change in his character as well. Sting began feuding with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, who had just arrived in WCW after leaving WWE in summer 1996. When Hogan appeared at that year's Bash at the Beach to help Hall and Nash against Sting, Lex Luger, and Randy Savage, he declared a new world order in professional wrestling, and Sting became a threat to the NWO. Trust issues among WCW's remaining defenders led Sting to become the silent vigilante he would be most remembered as. He started wearing all black, as well as black and white face paint. He didn't utter a word on WCW programming for months and began carrying around his signature baseball bat. He also began watching the action from the rafters, occasionally rappelling down to attack the NWO. Backstage, it was Hall who actually advised Sting to model his new look on the title character from the movie, The Crow.
Everyone wanted a piece of you, I'm sure.
Yeah, this one here, there were 40 million people a week watching me during that time.
By 1998, the NWO had ballooned to an unsustainable membership, and it split apart. Kevin Nash and Randy Savage, among others, broke off from Hogan's group to form the NWO Wolfpac. After teasing that he was joining the villainous NWO Black and White faction, Sting revealed that he was in fact with the Wolfpac. Soon after, Sting started wearing face paint in the group's colors, red and black. Though it's well remembered, the look didn't last long. At Halloween Havoc 1998, Bret Hart, then a member of the NWO Black and White, took Sting out with a baseball bat, putting him on the shelf for several months. When Sting returned to Nitro in March 1999, the NWO storylines had faded, so he returned to the company as his Crow character. Sting kept that look through the very last Monday Nitro in March 2001, where he wrestled Ric Flair. WWE had purchased WCW and chose not to buy out Sting's contract. Sting also rejected a buyout offer from Time Warner, opting to wait for his contract to expire in March 2002. Sting went on a lengthy hiatus, returning to the ring in late 2002 on a tour of Europe with World Wrestling All-Stars. Sting returned to American TV in 2003, signing with TNA. The deal was initially for just a handful of appearances, but he went on to sign with the company full-time. Like in WCW, his character evolved during his time there. Sting was rarely a heel, but he had a heel run in TNA starting in 2008 as a member of the Main Event Mafia, alongside Kurt Angle, Scott Steiner, Booker T, and Kevin Nash. What was most surprising during that run was that Sting would often appear without face paint, something he hadn't done before in his career. Soon, another movie, the 2008 Batman film The Dark Knight, inspired a new look based on Heath Ledger's Joker. In 2011, Sting took on this chaotic persona to battle his old rivals Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. Sting had warned others of the issues the heel pair would cause and slowly descended into madness as no one would listen. With the Joker-like face paint, Sting became known as the Insane Icon.
I'm insane.
Joker Sting turned Hogan babyface at Bound for Glory 2011, seemingly completing his mission. Sting has said in interviews that his Joker-inspired persona was his favorite iteration of his character. Sting left TNA at the beginning of 2014 after losing a title versus contract match to Magnus. Sting was the one WCW stalwart who never worked in WWE, until 2014, that is. Fans couldn't believe their eyes when the icon appeared at that year's Survivor Series to attack Triple H. He'd return on Raw the next January and began feuding with Triple H and The Authority. Sting's look in WWE was more or less that of his black and white Crow Sting persona from his late WCW run, but he did incorporate some Wolfpac-style red into his gear. His first match in the promotion was at WrestleMania 31 against Triple H, which included run-ins from the NWO and D-Generation X. Sting lost. Sting wound up wrestling just 4 matches in WWE. His last match came at Night of Champions 2015 against WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins. A buckle bomb from Rollins went wrong, resulting in an injury that led Sting to temporarily retire. Sting was announced as the first member of the 2016 WWE Hall of Fame class. Sting said in his speech that nothing is for certain, and he was right. After more than 5 years of retirement, Sting returned to wrestling in December 2020, shocking fans at the first Winter is Coming episode of AEW Dynamite. He rescued Darby Allin, who would become his tag team partner, from Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. Sting made his in-ring debut for the company at Revolution 2021, teaming with Allin to face Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in a cinematic street fight. Throughout his run in AEW, Sting was exclusively a tag team wrestler. The icon contended he was not in the condition for singles matches. While Sting largely retained his Crow look throughout the run, he did bring back Joker Sting for a promo or two. In October 2023, Sting announced his impending retirement. He went out on top in March 2024. Sting and Allin retained the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Young Bucks at Revolution in Greensboro, North Carolina, the same city where Sting wrestled Flair to a draw at Clash of the Champions. In a tribute to his legendary career, Sting's sons accompanied him to the ring, dressed in his Surfer and Wolfpac gear.
When Garrett came out, my oldest son, as Surfer Sting, the reaction from the crowd, it was just what I had hoped